Well, friends of Mundo Maldini, before tackling the spectacular week of Champions, Europa League, and Conference League that we have with a ton of videos, I want to ask you this question, and I want to answer and give my opinion on it. Tonight, Barca plays against Rayo. If Barca wins their match, they will become the leader in a very tight league, taking the lead by goal difference, tying with Real Madrid. The question I ask you, and I want to give my opinion and know yours, is whether Barca is the best team in the league. If it is the best team in the league, or if it is the team that plays the best in the league, which guarantees nothing. Obviously, this is an opinion I want to give, and I want to know yours, which guarantees nothing. Being the best team in football does not guarantee you will win. That is a reality. It is like that. Or being the one that plays the best also does not guarantee you will win. That is a reality that the history of football has taught us, and that we must accept as absolutely true. But is Barca the team that plays the best? I insist that this guarantees nothing. It does not guarantee that you will win the league, nor does it guarantee that you will win the Champions. But it is the team that plays the best, understanding by the one that plays the best, the one that knows how to exploit its best virtues. I think so. The answer is yes. For me, Barca is the team that plays the best in the Spanish league. And right now, I have to say that at least it is the team with the best peaks of football that I have seen in all of Europe. When I say peaks of football, I mean the moments of best play. No one has reached a footballing moment as good as Barca's best moments. That's what I mean. And I want to explain why. And of course, you don't have to agree. And I say it again, this is purely an opinion video. And it doesn't mean anything. I'm not saying that Barca is going to win the league or the Champions League. It's evident that they have a squad capable of competing for both titles without a doubt, and for the Copa del Rey without a doubt. Barca has a squad to achieve the treble, which is very difficult to do. They could also be knocked out in the round of 16 if they face Paris Saint-Germain, because Paris Saint-Germain, by the way, is flying. I know that many of you don't follow Paris Saint-Germain, which is understandable, of course. But Paris Saint-Germain is flying, and it's not just Dembélé. Paris Saint-Germain is flying, and there are other teams. Real Madrid has a spectacular forward line with game-changing players, no doubt about it. Liverpool has reached an excellent moment with great peaks of football. But for me, the best peaks of football I've seen have been from Barcelona, for example. In this second half that we're seeing in this picture of the match against Real Madrid, in that 0-4, or the match against Real Betis, I believe that the greatest expression of football from Barca this season, beyond the 0-4 against Madrid in the second half, was the display against Real Betis in the Copa. A Real Betis that indeed allowed a lot of play. It's true that they were a team that pushed forward quite a bit and left a lot of space, but Barca had everything: high pressing, speed of circulation, and then players from an individual standpoint capable of creating imbalance practically in all areas of the field. Barca has been recovering very important players, and this logically gives them even greater potential. Let's go. While we see some Lamine Yamal, Koundé, Fermin, Ferran, who is doing well when he comes in, Frenkie de Jong, who has secured his spot over a married player we see in the background. I want us to look at some figures, because this isn't just about numbers, it's about feelings. But the figures are the most important. It's no coincidence that Barca has scored 64 goals and Madrid 52. I am making this video, obviously, with Barca, with a match. 64 goals for Barca, 52 for Real Madrid. There is one thing I do want to highlight, and that is the expected goals. You already know what this concept is. Barca should have 53 goals, and they have 64. That is to say, they are 11 goals above what they should have according to expected goals. This means that surely Barca is going to slow down their scoring pace a bit. This can practically be taken for granted. Barca is going to slow down their scoring pace a bit, but even so. And now I speak of individualities, and why I think this. I believe that Barca is the team with the best offensive concepts. First, it is the team that has the ball the most in the league. Here we clearly have them above Real Madrid, Girona, Real Sociedad, Sevilla, with 66.2. But now it's not just about having it for the sake of having it, because it's true that Barca, in other eras of Barca, we've seen that they had it. Well, having it is important. It's better to have it than not to have it, obviously. Here we have possession. It's better to have it than not to have it, that's for sure. At least as I understand football, many of you may not agree, which is perfectly fine. But it's about having it more than anyone else. The team that passes the most towards the final third, ma'am. And Barca is the one with the most deep attacks in the league. Here you have it, 11.98 compared to Real Madrid's 10.82. Barca is the one that holds the ball and the longest, makes the most passes towards the final third, and executes the most deep attacks. That is to say, it is not a sterile possession. It is not a possession for the sake of having it. It's not possession for the sake of having it. Let's see. The team with the most progressive passes, ma'am, and the team with the most deep passes. In all the offensive concepts we can observe, Barca is the best. That's the reality. For example, another offensive concept. Logically, the team that dribbles the most is Barca. The team that dribbles the most, 2750. I think Barca is the best team in the championship. I think it's the team that plays the best football in the championship, as I understand it. I insist, which guarantees nothing. It's just that they might lose to Rayo, they've lost to Leganés, they've lost to Las Palmas. This is football, friends of Mundo Maldini. But I believe all these types of concepts are very important to highlight. The team that makes the most touches in the penalty area is Barca. And if we talk, of course, about players from an individual standpoint, I don't need to tell you who the top scorer of the championship is, which is Robert Lewandowski. Here he is, ahead of Kylian Mbappe. And who is the leader in assists in the championship? Lamine Yamal. I insist, Lamine Yamal with one less match and Lewandowski with one less match. Both are with Barca. And for example, what more can we talk about Barca that involves, for example, offensive participation? The two players with the most offensive participation in the league are Rafinha from Barca, Lamine Yamal from Barca, third, Kylian Mbappe from Real Madrid, fourth, Lewandowski from Barca. Barca is the team that scores the most goals, attacks the most, and attacks the best in the championship. And they are doing it, I insist. They are recovering very important players. They are doing it starting from the midfield, because in the midfield, apart from the recovery of Frenkie de Jong, which I consider quite important, the recovery of Frenkie de Jong is being very important because Barca is realizing, Flick is realizing not only the experience that Frenkie de Jong has, mind you, that Casado has been spectacular, but that Barca is a team that is dominating a lot and needs to reach the opponent's area a lot and press very high. And Frenkie de Jong is also making those runs from the second line, which we are seeing quite a lot in the attack. Apart from that, he has what for me is, and here honestly, I think there's little debate. If you want, we can discuss it, but there is little debate that the best midfielder of the championship is Pedri. Pedri seems to me the best midfielder of the championship so far when it comes to organizing, playing in the final third and delivering decisive or key passes. In the last third of the field, it is Pedri. He is being a true spectacle, giving performances one after another. Pedri, one after another. Pedri, the player with the most imbalance. Mind you, there are very good players. You already know what I think of Kylian Mbappe, who is a spectacle, but in terms of a game-changing player, what Pedri is doing has no comparison in the championship so far, honestly. Leader in assists, he is scoring goals, and above all, the way he is overwhelming the opponents is impressive. I think that along with Vinicius on the other side, the Real Madrid player, they are the two players with the most imbalance on the wings in the league by far. By a long shot, but Pedri is increasingly showing more different skills in the game. All of this makes me think that Pedri is putting on one spectacle after another in the matches. Then, Rafinha, one of the best players in the championship as well. Along with Pedri, one of the best players in the championship. It's true that he had a slight dip at some point, but what Rafinha is doing playing inside, thanks to the emergence of Valde, whom we see here behind, is also being spectacular. I already mentioned that the best peaks of football are being achieved by Barca because they have a lot of speed in ball circulation. And then they have a series of players who can unbalance the game. We can talk about Gavi's work. Of course we can talk about Gavi's work. Clearly we can talk about Gavi's work. But watch out, because I think this man, Dani Olmo, is still a better player than Gavi. Dani Olmo will eventually join Barca in the matches they dominate so much. It's true that Flick often seeks high pressure and aims to complicate the opponent's build-up, and this is something Barca is doing very well. Also, as I always tell you, the famous PPDA, the famous passes per defensive action, where you allow very few to the opponents, but all of that is fundamental. When Fermin comes in, he is also doing very well defensively. It's a team that takes a lot of risks. It's true, although sometimes a little less. And the only weaker point I can see is Szczesny, without a doubt, and some aspects that allow opponents to attack Barca's advanced defense much better. That's something that's happening to Barca. And then, of course, as a consequence of all that, Barca logically has a very recovered player, which is Robert Lewandowski, who is the top scorer of the championship so far. First, because he is much more identified with the game, he is participating much further from the area. With Barca's play, I mean, and as a result, he is much more comfortable on the field and is scoring many more goals than last season, or at least more goals than last season, because Lewandowski has always scored goals. So I wanted to make this video, friends of Mundo Maldini. We will have time to analyze it much more tonight. Barca versus Rayo. This doesn't guarantee anything. It doesn't even guarantee that Barca will win against Rayo tonight. Of course, this is football, but I think the best peaks of football that we've seen in the championship have been from Barca, and maybe in the Champions League as well. I think the best peaks of football that we've seen have been from Barca. A candidate for everything, they might end up with nothing this season. Well, They won't end up with nothing because they've already won the Spanish Super Cup. But in any case, they are competing for the Copa del Rey semi-final against Atletico de Madrid, which is going to be very tough. I'll comment on it on Movistar, by the way. They are, of course, competing for the league and, of course, for the Champions League. Although, watch out, because we could have a Paris Saint-Germain versus Barcelona match. That is dramatic because right now, along with Liverpool, I think in terms of football peaks, they are the two best. Liverpool, Barca, and Liverpool, Barca, and Paris Saint-Germain itself. The thing is, there are teams like Real Madrid, for example, which is the king of the Champions League, that obviously have tremendous potential. Let's see what happens on Wednesday against Manchester City, because on Thursday before the draw, we will already have my favorites to win the Champions League among the remaining 16, and there will be a lot to talk about, Bye.